Welcome into South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. Ashlyn, Sullivan, Morganti here at practice. It was supposed to be practice. Practice has been canceled, but we heard from General Manager Danny Briere this morning. We're recapping all of his comments, all the news that's going on with the Flyers right now, as well as a 3-game losing streak. So, Al, let's start with what everyone is wondering. Was talking about the news on Carter Hart, who has requested a leave of absence from the team. The Flyers have granted him that leave of absence. We just heard from General Manager Danny Briere, and he does not know how long this absence will be. He has said he doesn't know what it is for, and it is very clear Flyers cannot say too much about this situation right now.
Yeah, and neither can really, because until we know absolutely it's irresponsible to go out, but let's just say that it's potentially very, very serious and very long term. So, I mean, you can't come out, and you have to make sure you have everything perfect before you can say anything. So at this point, all indications are, and just speaking with people, are that this will be not a short-term thing, a very serious situation that Carter Hart's involved in.
Yes, and the Flyers are handling it very seriously, and it does not seem like it is going to be just a week-long thing. And every time you ask about the Carter Hart situation, everything is pointed towards Sam Ersson, and that's the way it has to be right now, because the Flyers, for as long as they know, Carter Hart is not coming back tomorrow. Sam Ersson's the guy, and he's going to have to be the guy for the time being.
Yeah, he is, and he's been playing really well. So this is a tremendous opportunity for him to take it and run with it, if you will. But there's a big difference, Ashlyn, between being in the hot go, like a quarterback.
Yeah,
everybody wants to be the quarterback, right? And then you're the guy, and everything gets more serious. So it's going to be a different mental grind for Ersson now. He seems like the type that can certainly deal with it. And don't get, Hart's been here a long time, 6 years, and you play a certain way. You get to know him. You know what he does. There was a comfort zone with him, what he was going to do. So Ersson's now going to have to be that guy. So fortunately, you wonder if they hadn't been sort of prepping for what's been going on here, but Ersson getting more and more stuff. And he looks very comfortable and very capable of doing it right now. The problem is going to be the workload is going to, I don't want to say double, but increase rapidly.
Right. And Danny Briere was asked about that. Were you assuming this Carter Hart situation was going to come out? Therefore, you gave Sam Ersson more starts to be ready. And I believe him when he says this, where it was strictly a hockey decision, and you could see it blatantly just watching the game. Sam Ersson was playing so well. He deserves more ice time. This investigation aside, I think even if this investigation didn't happen, Sam Ersson would still be getting the starts.
He'd be getting some, obviously many. And don't forget, Carter Hart was ill.
Yeah.
He had whatever stresses he's been under, may have affected his health, to see what's going on. So now it's a case of it's pointless for a team to look backwards or sideways. You just have to look forward, and looking forward, it's Ersson in goal. And backup goaltenders now become, whoever's going to come in now and back them up, just so as you don't slide back too much. And it's you wonder about, you say, why can't you have nice things or whatever? Like, you had a situation with 2 goalies. It was like, wow, this is unbelievable for the Flyers. And now you get smacked in the face with this stuff.
Yeah, this is why you can't have nice things for too long. And Danny Briere was asked about Sam Ersson, and I love what he said. He was asked, do you believe he can be the guy, the number one guy? He said, definitely. This is a starting caliber goalie. They have that right now. They did say they need to protect him. He's still developing. He can't, and that's why I'm really curious how they do this, how they balance this, because Cal Peterson, we haven't seen a ton of him. Can't expect Sam Ersson to get the rest of the starts the year, because that would just be too much to go from what he's playing now to every season.
No, but I can expect 3 out of 4. Or what I would expect is, unless it's back-to-back, I would expect Ersson. That's how much he's going to be relied upon here.
That is crazy big difference for the Flyers right now. So speaking of Darren, we're going to throw to some of his comments. This is his mid-season check-in. So he talked about the Carter Hart situation, but really this was scheduled before this investigation was taking place. So let's see what he had to say.
So we are aware of this morning's press reports on the various a very serious matter. We will respond appropriately when the outcomes of the investigations are made public. The NHL has been very clear that teams should refer all investigation-related questions to them. In the meantime, members of the organization, including Flyers players, will not be commenting any further. So that's all we can say at the moment, unfortunately.
Questions?
Danny, that said, before Carter left for his leave of absence, it seemed like you were doing a goalie rotation that was no longer a clear starter. Can you address whether his leave of absence is related to this, and can you address how you think he was playing at the time and whether the ancillary stuff affected his play?
I don't know. I really can't tell because we don't know anything. We're not aware of anything. There's a lot of speculation. That's all we know. What I can tell you is Sam Ersson has played extremely well, has earned the right to more ice time, we're excited by our goaltending we're doing, especially the way Sam played and came up and, won some big games for us.
Did Carter give you any indication that his reasons for taking this leave were affecting his play?
He did not.
I know you obviously are limited in terms of what you can say. That said, if Carter is ultimately involved in the investigation, do you have a plan in place as to how the organization will respond and if Carter Hart will still be deemed as someone you want to stay in the organization?
I cannot comment on that at this time. We will be waiting for guidance from the league on that.
Can you address Carter's play, independent of the investigation and the leave of absence? We expected Carter Hart to, continue his ascent, and that didn't seem to be development this year.
Yeah, Carter Hart was having a very good season up to this point.
I mean, this is a team that's been up, down, it's probably overachieved, I guess, to a certain extent. How does having a key cog here, not here, affect how you go forward building this
Yeah,
team,
we
trade
don't know.
deadline, things like that?
We don't know what's going to happen with Carter. Now the team has put themselves in a great situation. That's the exciting part. The other exciting part is that Sam Ersson has really taken a big step forward, and we'll have to protect him as much as we can. He's still developing. He's still a good young goalie, getting better and better. So we'll have to be careful, but we're excited that his play and that he can carry us moving forward until we know a little bit more on Carter's situation.
Do you have any concerns about how it might affect the team, the team's play, the morale inside the locker room, and anything like that?
Yeah, I don't. I haven't been to that point yet.
Are you operating under the assumption that Carter will be unavailable for an extended period of time?
I really don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry.
So you've got no timeline whatsoever about when any of this will,
No.
hit the public or
At this
conclude?
time, we're going Sam Ersson. We know for this week, Sam Ersson and Cal Peterson will be our two goalies.
Danny, obviously in the offseason, you acquired a goaltender, you signed Ersson to a 2-year contract extension, you kept Sandstrom here for a while. Were those moves done knowing in mind that this was potentially...
No. The one thing we wanted to do was bolster our goaltending position. You saw last summer we drafted 2 good young goaltenders with our second and third round picks. We believe in developing goaltenders. Cal came in the trade. We felt Carter was the number one. We felt that Felix and Sam and Cal were all good options to carry us forward. They were all goalies that can come and play some games as well. So that was the belief. That was the mindset going into it. Is let's make sure we have strong goaltending, in front of a young team. a lot of young players on the roster. That was the idea behind it.
So Danny Briere, I credit him for dealing with an impossible situation. He has been excellent this year, and a lot of stuff has happened with the Flyers. We joke they have been very, very newsworthy, and Danny Briere has handled himself professionally, confidently, and really just speaks to you like a human being and is very understanding. And when I left that press conference, it was very clear to me they're going to be sellers in this deadline. And they talked about how they're not going to spend assets to push to make the playoffs this year. It's just not the spot they're in. And I know fans want that. You want to go get the all-star guy this year to help this year. And Danny Briere kind of crushed everyone's dreams. That won't be happening right now.
Yeah, Ashlyn, I think some people, though, do look toward a rebuild, and let's keep our focus on the future of this team. So I don't think there'll be that many people upset that they won't trade a kid or a future. But the veterans are what I think some people might not want to part with, that they very well may part with, depending on where they are in this situation going toward the playoffs, because there will be some pieces that other teams want. And he was, I got to say, for Danny Briere to be in this position for as short a time as he's been,
Just got here. Yeah.
with Krug, he had a family situation that he dealt with. He dealt with Carter Gauthier, and now he's dealing with Hart, and now he's dealing. When you have John Tortorella as a coach,
And you're trying to push for the playoffs.
There's always something going on, and now now it's a situation of what are you going to do with the trade deadline? It's almost like he got saddled with a team. It's a nice situation, be better than people thought, but it puts you in a whole new perspective on what's going on.
Yep.
And he's handled everything really well. I mean, nothing that there's been any sort of edge to him coming in, arrogance coming in. It's like, I have to ask these questions. This is what I can say. And he does it all in a way that, okay, we understand that. And he's pretty open about things. I mean, as much as he can. Can't be, look, the league is involved in whatever is going on in other situations here. And he just can't do anything. But when he can, he's been pretty open and candid about how they're dealing with everything. And boy, I'll tell you, it's been an impressive first go-round.
Yeah.
With all this stuff happening, to come out with a team like this, and it's like, okay, we've got this situation with our goaltender. We're gonna go this way.
Yeah.
We brought this goalie along, Ersson along. Now we're just gonna go in this direction. There's no panic, and it seems like everybody is on board with it, from the locker room to the coaching staff. It's like, okay, this is the way we're going to go, and there's nothing adversarial about it. And I love Torts, but I can only imagine John Tortorella dealing with some of the situations that Danny's had to deal with, because he's more of an emotional guy.
He's a different type of guy.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
But to have those two with Jonesy sort of all working together with Hilferty, it's been an impressive run so far.
Yeah, well, you see why they click, right? Knowing all of them personally, you see why Torts, Briere, Jonesy, how they couldn't all have the same personality. It simply would not work.
No, and to have this chemistry experiment go on with everything that's happened, and to see how nothing's blown up.
Yeah.
It's because you look at it, the whole Carter Gauthier thing was a huge story.
Could have blown
and
up.
just went smoothly through in the fan bases. Yeah, you're right. So he really has directed everything toward the fan base.
Yeah, he has been incredibly impressive, especially today dealing with a near impossible situation. And he was asked as well about the locker room. And this is something we've been speculating on for months. How are you possibly going to break up this locker room with how tight it is, how well they're doing? If they're pushing for a playoff spot, how could you possibly sell a crucial piece? And Danny really said point blank, locker room knows what we're doing. And they were told from the jump that we're going to be selling guys most likely. And it's just something that they have to deal with at this point.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because they're really a tight group. And I did get the sense, though, that Searler might be safer than we thought at the beginning of the year. Be a good piece. And I'm not so sure Walker to see what's going on, because defensemen that they picked up, I mean, really, when you look at it, their defense is now, because Drysdale's been very good early returns, but obviously can really fly. York is 50% than I thought defensively coming in.
He was the main thing in that press conference. They
Oh,
couldn't
really?
stop talking about him. Yeah.
Oh, he's been great.
Yeah.
I mean, Risto's been far better than a lot of people expected coming in.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think they're in a pretty good spot now where they can have a piece like that.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. Trade deadline not till March, but There's going to be a lot of conversations of what this Flyers team is going to do until then. And now we recap a 3-game losing streak. There was also hockey going on this week after all of this stuff going on, and a 3-game losing streak: Colorado, Ottawa, Tampa Bay Lightning. And as we recap these losses, Colorado and Lightning to me, very similar losses because the Flyers played well and the opposition was incredibly talented, a lot of offense. Ottawa, hey, no other way to put it, bad loss. One of the worst losses of the season.
Yeah, that was a bad loss. That was that game sandwiched in between all talent, McKinnon, and then you come in with Kucherov and Stamkos with Tampa, and they're on a roll, and Vasilevsky, their goaltender. So that really hurt the Ottawa loss. But I think what you really had to wonder about was the bad penalties they took against Tampa, because they probably could have pulled that game out. They came back against it, but they just took too many penalties coming into that game, and that really hurt. So I think even though Ottawa was the one you said we should have had, man, they had their chances to come back against Tampa Bay there, but they just didn't give that power play, and they weren't good penalties either.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Tortorella was so frustrated about.
Yeah, and if you clean that up, you're encouraged with the way they played against Colorado and Tampa. They found their game back, especially Tampa, to fight their way back from a 3 deficit. And now you have 2 games remaining before the All-Star break, on the road in Detroit and then home against the Boston Bruins. And Al and I said this after the Flyers had that huge win, probably the biggest win of the season against Dallas at home. We had many players saying that was a statement win. Biggest win of the season. You feared now you're sliding down the mountain. They are sliding down, but they have a chance to pop right back up. If you lose these 2 games, that's a slide.
It is. I was worried after that Dallas game. We said after the game when they were at the top of the mountain, now what's going to happen? Yeah. Because you got to keep your edge. I thought they did come back in games, but I do think that there was a drop off just in terms of their turnovers. They turned the puck over, and this is huge now because Detroit is a very good team right now. They're right with Tampa.
Yeah,
and
fighting.
Everybody's fighting for that playoff spot. And Boston's Boston, way better than anybody thought coming into the season. Mm-hmm. So this is what you absolutely want to avoid: a 5-game slide into an All-Star break. It would just be a horrible way to end what's been a really wonderful first half of the year.
Right. And what you can't have happen, because these questions are already occurring. And I don't see it, Al. I don't think you see it either with this group. People are asking, well, look at all this distraction going on. Look at all this going on around the Flyers outside this rink. I fear if the Flyers do lose these games, that's what people will pin it on. I don't believe that's the case.
I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. That would be the case at all. I think it's what's gone on the ice. The fact that they've had to play 11-7, you do stuff like that to try to get a guy like Atkinson going, and which they managed to do. So I don't think that it would be a distraction. In fact, in Ersson's case, they played better at times with Ersson there. And, Brink gets sent down. Well, how many players have been sent down here? It goes back. It goes back, down, up, down, and they come back better for it. So I don't find this would be a viable excuse at all that there's a distraction here.
Yeah, and you got to think this Flyers team, I've always thought all year, and Sean Couturier was talking about this, and he joked they're too good for their own good. And that's a great thing when they're winning, because this Flyers team, when you get 1 win, they believe they can go win 10. So I've always thought, okay, if you can beat Detroit on Thursday, you can beat Boston as well. You can make her feel better.
Oh, no, they don't. That's the difference in these losses. Previous seasons, if they got behind a Tampa 3-0,
they'd be done for.
Oh man, you were thinking, let's get out of the building because this could get ugly. This could be 7-1, 7-2, 8-3, whatever.
Yeah.
No, they come back in the game. Same thing with Colorado. Mm-hmm. Come back in the third period. There's a huge difference, if you want to say difference in losses or whatever. There's an enormous difference because they've come back against these really good teams, confident that they skate with anybody.
Yeah, and we've been seeing it. The Flyers looking to get right, 2 games remaining before this All-Star break. Thanks for tuning in to South Philly Sauce, an Audacy original, brought to you by 94 WIP and Jack Daniels. We will see you later on this week.